this is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to look at the Kindle Fire HD 8.9-inch, the bigger brother or sister, depending on your opinion of that, to the Kindle Fire HD 7-inch that we looked at 2 months ago. Basically, you got the same Kindle here, you just got more of it in a higher resolution display, and we're going to look at it now. So this is the Kindle Fire HD 8.9-inch. We looked at the 7-inch about 2 months ago, and you're looking at pretty much the exact same thing here, right down to the same design, only, well, obviously this is a bigger screen, 8.9 inches versus 7 inches, and higher resolution, which is a good thing because, well, once again, the screen is larger. However, really nice high resolution, 1920 by 1200, so that beats many Android 10.1-inch tablets on the market. Not the Asus Transformer Infinity TF700 grant you, or the new Galaxy Nexus 10, which are running at extremely high resolutions, but the Galaxy Note 10.1, a lot of others are still running at 1280 by 800 at 10.1 inches. So good sharp looking screen, competitive with the Retina iPad, still a little bit lower pixel density in the Retina iPad and the Nexus 10. But you know, when you're talking about 240 versus 260 ppi, really, can you see the difference? Not so much. Anyway, very good screen, IPS screen here, just like the 7-inch had an IPS screen. And as a refresher, that one runs at 1280 by 800 at 7 inches. So pretty sharp for its size, but perhaps not quite as super sharp as this guy here. Otherwise, same feature set. You've got Wi-Fi only model, a dual band MIMO Wi-Fi, fast Wi-Fi on this. It has Bluetooth. And there's optional LTE for this one. So pricing, first off, for the 16 gig you're looking at $299. That's pretty good bargain pricing there for a capable, we'll call it pretty close to 10-inch class tablet here. If you want to go up to 32 gigs from the 16 gigs, that is $369. But if you want to go up to LTE, which is a 32 gig model, so you are getting more storage as well, that's $499. And that runs on AT&T's LTE network. There's also a 64 gig version available. And Amazon does something interesting with the pricing. Obviously, it's considerably more expensive than the non-LTE model. You're paying a little of the cost of that wireless access up front instead of signing a contract and getting a subsidized device, but you're not paying that much more up front. So their basic data plan, the one they're advertising, to my mind is fairly useless. That gets you, for $50 a year on top of the device price, that gets you 250 megs of data per month. 250 megs is like nothing these days. Where a web page can be 100K, you're talking downloading your emails at best with not too many attachments, maybe looking at 40 web pages, 50, and you might be already hitting at the limit of that. Now, there are higher price data plans available if you're interested in that. And also, some things like video streaming are not enabled over LTE, so keep that in mind as well. Inside, compared to the Kindle Fire 7 HD, we have a slightly faster CPU. The Fire 7-inch had a 1.2 GHz dual core. This has a 1.5 GHz dual core, and again, it's an OMAP CPU, 4470. Capable CPU, something that we saw on last year's Android 10-inch tablets pretty commonly. And we're guessing it has a gig of RAM because Amazon is not saying, but our system information applications and benchmarking information apps are reporting around 750 megs, and the OS usually takes up some of that space. There's probably a gig of RAM inside of here. Again, the base model gets you 16 gigs of storage, and that could be enough here because there's a whole lot of cloud stuff going on here. Really, I would say Kindle products are still designed largely for those who are a part of the Amazon ecosystem. Are you a Prime member? Do you watch Prime streaming videos? Do you pay for the ones that aren't on Prime? Do you have a lot of Amazon Kindle books that you buy? Newspapers, magazines, that kind of thing, and apps from their app store? If the answer is yes, then certainly one of these devices is for you. Now, I think some reviewers kind of missed the point. They spent a whole lot of time comparing this to Nexus tablets, and I think there's really a different audience here. I really do think that this is for the folks who just want something turnkey with really great customer service, a lot of help, a lot of support for the product, and a simple, straightforward way that's obvious to consume Amazon products. As always, you have the shop, you have games, you have apps, you have books right here, for example, so you can just hit the home button. You can just go through everything that's pretty much Amazon based on it easily. Now, certainly for those of you who are on a budget, this is also a temptation, and if you're a real techie type and you like to tinker with your tablet a lot, load custom ROMs, do all that kind of stuff, have full access to the Google Play Store, certainly a Google Nexus device is going to make more sense because it's a full Android tablet. You have full access to the Google Play Store and all of Google services, whereas here there is no Google Play Store access unless you want to be geeky and root it, which you can do. Now, you can sideload apps on here. I'm going to show you my little app drawer. And here we have a whole bunch of things that are actually not on the Amazon App Store. Now they do have a pretty healthy App Store. It doesn't have everything Google Play has, but a lot more than the Nook App Store has. Speaking of Nook, I've sideloaded Nook, and yes, it works. I've sideloaded the Chrome web browser. I've put a bunch of benchmarking applications on here. I've got Antutu, Quadrant, all of things that I've sideloaded from my smartphone or my other tablet. So if you're pretty techie and you know how to do that kind of thing, pull your apps off of your other tablet or smartphone device, you can do that, and you can get them on here for you techie types who are just looking for a budget tablet. In terms of size, well, it's an 8.9-inch tablet. It's getting pretty close to your average 10-inch tablet size. Comparing it to the iPad mini right here, which is 7.9-inch, so basically really an 8-inch tablet, you can see there's quite a difference in size though. And the iPad mini is very light, but it's uncannily light as tablets go, to be honest. And well, the Kindle Fire HD 8.9-inch is relatively light among 10-inch tablets, since it is a little bit smaller. It helps, and compared to the full-size iPad with Retina display, but still, mini is going to be thinner and lighter. This weighs 1.25 pounds. That's 1.25 pounds. Again, that's pretty light. Look at the Retina iPad. That weighs almost 1.5 pounds. So not too bad on weight, and it's 0.35 inches thick. We'll take a look at the side now so you can see. And Amazon's designs are good. It's gotten a lot more modernized. Looks just like the 7-inch, but it still always looks a little bit more chunky, I think, than it is somehow in their design. So not too thick, not a bad looking tablet at all. It may not win any design awards, but it's pleasing enough looking, and it has a rubbery, rugged sort of feeling here. The Amazon claims it's pretty darn sturdy. Now if we look across the back, just like the 7-inch, we've got the little racing stripe here. And just to give it some visual appeal, and you can see it has stereo speakers, again with Dolby, just like the 7-inch, and that's one of the grills right there, and there's one at the other end right over here. On the bottom we have micro USB, so you can transfer stuff to it and charge it. Charger not included in the box, by the way, so you have to use your computer to charge it or pay extra for the charger, or use your smartphone charger. It should work just fine too. And we have micro HDMI. So that's pretty nice here. If you're using Amazon Prime services and you don't have some modern piece of home AV gear that actually pulls internet streaming services, you can actually use this as a set-top box to get Prime Video content onto your TV. Nothing on that side. Nothing along the top edge. And on this side we have our 3.5mm audio jack and volume control and power button. As ever, just like the Kindle 7-inch HD, really a pain in the neck to find these buttons and to use them. It really helps if you get Amazon's case. It makes the buttons a little bit easier to find, but that's where they are. And if we compare it to the Kindle 7-inch HD Fire right here, obviously a big size difference. Little black borders make it hard to see, but you get a lot more screen real estate. Same bezel size. They both have large bezels, but it doesn't look quite so huge on the 8.9-inch device. It's a larger device overall. That means there's plenty of place to grab for those of you who like to have something that feels book-like when you hold it, though. At 1.25 pounds and 8.9 inches, it gets to be a little bit of a burden in the hands if you're reading for an extended period of time. And lastly, here is the Nexus 7. Much smaller device, more book-like, I would say. So if book reading is your thing, I think the 7-inch devices are a real nice size because they're not too heavy, they're not too big, easy to hold on to for a while, easy to toss in your pocket or your bag. But if you want to watch videos, obviously the big HD display on the 8.9-inch Kindle Fire is a selling point. And now we're going to compare it to the 10.1-inch Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1, which obviously will be a little bit bigger, 10.1 inches versus 8.9 inches. And in terms of overall footprint, you see there's not that much of a difference. So for those of you thinking you're saving a whole lot of space by getting an 8.9 versus a 10.1-inch tablet, there's not that much of a difference really, is there? And there they are sideways. Samsung being a very thin tablet. And obviously you can use the device in portrait orientation. It has an accelerometer, so it senses orientation and rotates appropriately. This is the orientation you probably want to use it when you're reading books, and we'll check out a book. Again, with the full HD display, you know you're going to get sharp text, and indeed it looks nice. Now this is a very nice IPS display with fairly neutral whites, a little bit towards the warm side, which is just what you want when you're reading a book. You don't want a cool blue glare coming at you. You want a little soft and book-like. And also when you're watching movies, it's nice because flesh tones look nice and warm and natural. Speed, of course, just fine on this. Really beautiful looking text, nice and sharp. Now, if you want to use it in facing page mode, you certainly can. And that's what it looks like. not unlike the iBooks interface. And you can choose from a variety of typefaces and font sizes and all that. Again, this is just like the Kindle Fire HD 7-inch that we reviewed, so we're not going to go into every feature because you've probably already seen that review, or you can watch that review too, so you can decide between the two of these. When it comes to videos, you have access to all your Amazon Prime videos right here, streaming, and of course, this is the Wi-Fi model, so we're going to do that over Wi-Fi, and we're going to try streaming something just to see how it plays. And you can hear the speakers. The Dolby on this is really excellent. Nice screen for watching video. Great resolution, and Amazon streaming the content in sufficiently high quality that looks nice and sharp. Now you can also do Netflix on this, you can do Hulu on this, they're also both available. Dolby mobile speakers, stereo sound here, it's very good. You know, I think it's not quite as loud sounding as the 7-inch, which is surprising. The 7-inch is an amazing powerhouse. Usually 7-inch tablets have frankly terrible speakers, and the speakers on the 7-inch Kindle Fire HD are awesome. Also very good on this, lots of stereo separation. I don't think there's quite as much volume, but certainly stands out. Unlike some of the recent Samsung tablets, you don't get the speakers facing and firing at you. And even on the 7-inch, the speaker grill wraps around right to the edge a little bit more, so it projects sideways, makes it a little easier to hear. In the case of this guy, the speaker is pretty much terminating right at the back. I'm going to show that to you one more time. So there we go, and you can see it pretty much terminates right where the edge of the bezel starts here, on the side of the frame. So it's obviously designed to be used mostly in landscape mode for the speakers to give you maximal stereo separation, but if you do tend to hold it lower down here, you will block those speakers. Now you can also sideload your own video content, and MPEG-4 based files are the advisable format, and you won't get them in the video player. Instead, there's actually a little app called Personal Videos. Funny way of doing it, but we've got a movie trailer here, 1080p.
Increased intelligence. Skills that far exceed that of a human counterpart.
Handles just fine. It's actually full 1080p native resolution screen, better than, so you've got
where does he fit in?
no scaling, playing this.
Chips, company, property.
He hasn't spent any time with other chips.
So once again, definitely a product I'd recommend if the video experience is really what you're focused on here more than the book reading experience. Though magazines too benefit from the bigger screen, because if you've used those Amazon magazines, you know the fonts can be kind of tiny. Speaking of magazines, we're looking at the New Yorker, which actually runs as its own little self-contained apps, and you can use it to download. You can see they have a cute little department of explanation here that shows you how to use the reader. And then we'll just jump onto an article here. Very nice, very easy to read, good formatting on this. So, also nice if you're really into magazines, because 7 inches is still, I find, a little bit small for reading magazines since they tend to have a print-faithful layout, and that can mean pretty small text. So I can read this easily, no need for zooming, certainly. Nicely done. As ever, we have the Amazon UI here on top of Android, and this is running Ice Cream Sandwich, Android 4.0, that you'd never know. Pretty much everything is well hidden, and you know, it's a fairly intuitive interface, so some UI elements do move around, like the little home button. Sometimes it's not obvious. You should just tap the screen if you're in books or magazines to actually make that little home icon appear in some corner or other, wherever it's going to be. And things like the carousel can look a little pixelated when stretched this big, though Amazon does seem to be improving the quality of these things, so they look a little bit better, but particularly application icons can look downright, well, ugly sometimes. And of course, if you want to shop, you can hop right into shopping on Amazon. You can get books, music, video, applications. You know how it is. Everything that you want to buy from Amazon, it's available. As easy as a dangerous one-click away. Speaking of the dangerous one-click away, there are parental controls now, so you can actually give this to your kid and not have them buy everything in the store either intentionally or by accident. Good times there. Amazon uses the bookshelf metaphor for everything, as we know, with their Fire products, and so we have albums here that are showing up kind of like as if they were books. Don't know why the album cover didn't come through, but you can see we have Shop Natalie Merchant here because it's a Natalie Merchant tune, so they're always ready to sell you a little something else, but we just want to hear a song. And if we had an album cover, that's what we'd see that instead. But Nice, nice sound. Once again, the sound through the headphones is also very good, just enjoyable. And you've got your volume control right here, and yes, it plays in the background so you can listen to tunes while you're reading if you want. And if you swipe down, right here we have music playback controls. And as you can see, there's quick access to things like your brightness, your wireless, syncing with Amazon content, volume, a couple of handy things. And if you go to more, you can see the list of settings, which isn't everything that you would see on an Android tablet, but a fair amount of stuff right here. Now when it comes to applications, unlike the original Kindle Fire when it first came out, you didn't get any access to any contacts, PIM applications, that kind of thing. You can see right here we have our contacts, we have a calendar application, and it does email, including Gmail now, so you're not locked out from that. And you can just go to your account setup and actually add those things. So here we are in Calendar, and I haven't set up to sync with anything, but if we tap here, we can go to Settings, and we can add an account. And you can see I can add Gmail, Hotmail, MS Exchange, AOL, Yahoo, or other providers, generally for your IMAP and POP3 email. So you do get that stuff synced on here if you wish now. Now things like email notifications, they're pretty unreliable on this. I wouldn't count on it for that kind of thing, but it does sync. You can get your stuff. Amazon claims 10 hours of use on the tablet, which would be about par for the course for claims for 10-inch class tablets. So far we're seeing more like 9, and that's acceptable. That's 9 hours of actual use time. It doesn't just mean 9 hours on the clock. Standby time on Kindle is always excellent with the Kindle Fire HD 7-inch, and with this one, it's just amazing how long you can leave it just sitting on the desk, just sleeping, and it just really doesn't drain. It's good in that respect. Screen brightness is pretty good. There is glare here. Amazon claims that this is a polarizing display. I'm sure that is, but still, it's plenty glary. However, it's very bright, high contrast, nice, accurate colors. Amazon always does a good job with relative color accuracy when it comes to matching sRGB spectrum. So, pleasant there. Since it's an Amazon product, you can put Amazon Kindle books on here. Obviously, I have side-loaded Nook, but if you're not into doing that kind of thing, you're going to read Kindle format books on here. It does Audible books. It does the neat little Whisper Sync thing. So if you're using multiple Amazon Kindle devices or Kindle apps, you can actually sync your reading place and switch between the audio book format if you purchase it and the reading book. And it has reading text aloud to you feature if the publisher allows that. It's up to them as to whether they want to allow that on their book. It also has the X-ray feature in books and in movies, and in that you can get more information about the book or the movie, actors in the movie, things like that. Trivia, sometimes useful information is available. And you can read comics on it. And we've got a comic application loaded here. I'll show you right now. This is Comics X. Certainly a great comic reader. Again, 8.9 inches is a lot nicer than 7 inches. It's a lot closer to the print size medium if you want to read comics. And that looks just great, doesn't it? My God. Nice colors, just so sharp. Easy enough to read, a little bit small, but hey, I can read it and my eyes are not that good. So certainly nice as a comic reader too, and where this text would be just about getting impossible for me on a 7-inch, it's readable here, so nice experience. Tablet plays games just fine. Thanks to the 1.5 gigahertz dual-core CPU here, that's enough horsepower to play most Android games well. We've been enjoying it so far. In terms of benchmarks, Quadrant 2810, not going to impress you compared to, say, a Tegra 3 or one of Samsung's recent Exynos processors, but not bad for something that's pushing a whole lot of pixels around. We're talking about 1920 by 1200 pixels there. And that's better than the 2170 Fire for the Kindle Fire 7-inch, which of course doesn't have to push as many pixels around either. Antutu 7757, that's pretty respectable. That's not even that much lower than some Tegra 3 devices, though some of the better ones do score a little closer to 10,000. SunSpider has scored a 1438, where lower numbers are better. That's not bad, where a lot of Android phones and tablets are still scoring in the 1800 to 2000 area. That's a respectable number, not as impressive as the class-leading iPhone and latest generation iPad 4 with Retina display, which are scoring in 900, but still very good. And now we're in Nova 3, which is a pretty demanding game. That's playing pretty well, really. So that's Nova 3 on the Kindle Fire HD 8.9 inch. So that's the Kindle Fire HD 8.9 inch. It's available now starting at $299, and that gets you 16 gigs of storage, and you can get it with LTE if you want for a whopping $499. Really, it's the same thing as the 7-inch Kindle Fire HD, folks. It really depends on what you want to do with it and how much screen real estate you want. If you primarily watch videos, like I said, this is probably the better pick for you. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for the full review of the Kindle Fire HD 8.9 inch, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.